How about now? There we go. All right. Thank you. Glad somebody said that. So, all right. Hey, it is August 15th. This is Ration Museum Bulletin number 83. This is going to be a short and sweet one. It's basically just going to be a dinner and a little chat. So, thank you guys for tuning in. I know it's wasn't advertised early, and I didn't get the time locked in until like earlier today. So no worries to anybody else who's catching this in the repeat. Hope you had a good rest of your Monday as well. But to you guys that are here, we're going to be looking at these Chinese Paratrooper rations, which not 100% certain of their military authenticity, but I guess we'll get a feel for that as we go into them. Certainly, there is a market in China for knockoff rations. Hopefully, I'm not about to eat a bunch of lead or anything ridiculous, but a little lead once in a while won't be the death of me. So this week, it's just going to be this short form. I didn't end up being able to make it into the museum. And then next week, with everything that's building up towards an earlier departure for Burning Man than I had intended, I won't be streaming next week. So this will be the last one until I am back for September 12th. So it's going to be a little while. It's going to be almost a month. I've been hoping to try and squeeze a stream in, but it's just, I know the day before I fly out, I'm going to be in hectic last minute mode. I'll be thinking of random things. Stuff will be going wrong. Flights might be getting screwed up. Who knows? So it'll just be, it'll just make more sense to pick things back up after I get back. Also, I've been looking deep inside, trying to figure out what I want to do longer term, and I'm going to devote a good deal more time to the museum when I get back. I've barely gotten to spend more time on it. I mean, maybe twice as much time since I stopped working a full-time job, but it's not enough. It's progressing slowly, and we've got to hit that tipping point. So to hit that tipping point, I'm going to need to invest a good deal more time in terms of reaching out to folks, making better contacts, and getting the funding rolling so that we can move on to the next stage, figuring out where it's going to go. Getting a property, getting connected with a chamber of commerce in a town that wants a museum. All those steps are going to take real dedication, real time, day in, day out, calling people, doing research, etc. So I feel like once that hurdle happens, once a place has been figured out and some basic funding for 1 or 2 years has been figured out in terms of just existing, that's when the process of building a local community around the museum can start. So say the museum moves into a town of 5,000 or 10,000 people that's got some basic touristy aspect to it. A town like Gettysburg or Williamsburg or something like that would be ideal, would be great. Town with Civil War history, with World War II history, something where there's a tie-in that would already have folks coming into that area for a similar purpose that could help feed the museum, and have folks that live there that have kind of like a connection to military history, that sort of thing. That's when we can start getting local volunteers. And when we can start getting local volunteers to come to a property, then it becomes more sustainable work, in the sense that when it's a little here, a little there, fit in around, use your own space, use your own equipment, use your own time. It's hard to predict what can get done at what time, by what people, etc. Whereas if there's an actual factual space, it can just be progressively, bigger and bigger tasks. Folks can come in to do the real photography, to do the real recording, the layers of things that we're not going into yet. So, we photographed over 1,000 things for the collection, and you know, obviously in those are hundreds of items where we photographed the outside from every angle and moved on to the next one. Well, obviously in the long run, we'll want to open every one of those things up and show all the components and do it in a way that's clean and that's useful to folks. And in the long term, how great would it be to get everything 3D scanned and to build massive databases and stuff? Well, that's going to take folks that can come in, can sit down, can have a regular, you know, 4 hours or 8 hours at a desk with a computer where they don't have to, you know, set up, tear down, move stuff out of the way, you know, all that kind of stuff. I wish I'd been recording the setup and takedown for the streams back in the museum, because that was a flashback over the last couple weeks. It's just, it takes a good chunk of time to go strike that room, move all the furniture around, pull out all the chairs, go in, put all the set lights in, you know, set up the backdrop, clean everything off, move in. Oh my God, like, you know, last week was 35 cases roughly of about 20 to 30 pounds a piece. So 1,000 pounds of cases move, you know, from the tight little hallways of the archive room over to the shared conference room in that building and get stacked into all the corners. And then I'm, you know, squeezing around to move these things to like take the photos. Whereas when the museum has a spot, there will be a room that's set up for photography and scanning, and the equipment will just be there, you know, and anytime somebody has an hour, they can scan a few things and they don't have to, yeah, anyway. Plus, you know, when there's an actual setup space for more than just me, it can be something that's not, you know, relegated to just when I can do a stream and all that stuff. So yeah, it's going to be tough finding a town with World War II history. There's a lot of places with production history, but you're right, not battle history, certainly. You know, there's places, you know, the East Coast has a good number of places with like Civil War battle history, but there are a number of cities that are known for their, you know, World War II museums or, you know, military museums. So, granted, some of those have like army bases and that sort of thing, but you know, there's a lot to think about. My brother actually gave me a good idea recently too, would be to potentially consider Evansville or Mullins or McAllen, you know, and try and put a museum in one of the cities that's currently producing rations. You know, that wouldn't be a crazy idea either, as long as there's some kind of, you know, general expectation of people moving through. So, you know, and maybe some way to liaise with one of those actual ration producers like Sopatco or Ameriqual or Warnick. So there's, wait, Warnick. Warnick's not in Texas, are they? No, I keep doing this. Right away is in Texas. Or is Warnick in McAllen as well? I can't remember now. I keep screwing up where the Warnick company is. Warnick Foods is in well, now that they're Baxter's, it's a little more difficult to figure that kind of stuff out, it looks like. Westchester, Ohio is not what I'm not. Oh, Cincinnati. That's right, Cincinnati, because they used to be Cinepac. I think. Yeah. So Warnick's in Cincinnati. Right away is in McAllen, Texas. So Patco's in Mullins, and Ameriqual's in Evansville. So options there, but Bloomfield, New Jersey, the Charms Factory, you know, that's not outside the realm of possibility either. That wouldn't be a massive move. So these are great ideas, but the conversation is going to come down to trying to talk to the towns themselves, to the town council, the Chamber of Commerce, trying to do this from an angle where, rather than put ourselves in a position where, you know, the biggest expense is the building over and over, to, you know, there's going to be a town that very likely has, you know, a property that they'd be willing to lease to a nonprofit for something that will add tourist clout to the town for a nominal fee. There's plenty of cases of towns leasing properties to museums for $1, that sort of thing. Or even giving outright after a contract of, occupation for a certain amount of time, or for a certain amount of, redevelopment of the building if, say, it's a building with some issues. So that effort's going to have to start, and that's going to take more than just trying to squeeze in a day here and a day there. That's going to take months of phone calls and emails and research. So I'm really gearing up to move into that stage. I will be doing fundraising this fall. I have to. The museum cost me about $8,000 a year just to exist. I no longer have a full-time job, so that's really digging in. Right now it's $250 a paycheck, or no, sorry. Yeah, no, okay, $250 a paycheck every paycheck, which is, like about, well, anyway, it's a very sizable chunk of my my income at this point, in this transition phase. But if that ball can get rolling to where the museum can actually stand on its own, then putting more and more time into it will make more and more sense, until the point where, in an ideal world, the museum would be my only focus. So we'll see. It's honestly more exciting than it is scary right now. I see a lot of actual possibility now that the collection site is, for the most part, put together, and will be able to very easily show anybody that I'm trying to pitch this idea to, well, this is what we're already sitting on and protecting, and this is what we need. So articulating those needs, even in terms of people, gonna need people that are more skilled at certain portions of running an operation like this than I am. All right, it's a hobby that's got to turn into a real job, and I'm excited for it, piece by piece. So I hope you guys could hear clearly. I know I always have sound issues and stuff, but let me double back. I see Rocker Something jumped in, and Spicy Tuna Rolls, and MFOs, and Mike. Hey guys, good to have all of you with us. Sup, fellow ration enthusiasts, how goes it, Mike? Yesterday I was, throughout the day I was trying not to eat. It's just making up for having had, an entire pizza and a half the day before. And throughout the day, I was just doing this every once in a while. Take this little jar from you, tilt it, and just kind of have a taste of that spice mix, and know that I wasn't cranking the calories. So that got me through the day. Thank you. Yeah, these Chinese Paratrooper rations are from Ted. Have you had a chance to have them? I thought I was getting 2 of this kind. Let me swap cameras, actually. So I thought I was getting 2 of this kind, which is just the survival brick, basically. The calorie dense brick. And instead, I got the calorie brick and a regular Paratrooper MRE. I must have misread it, and I'm happy for this. This is better than what I was thinking. So I think we'll probably take a look inside both of these. I'm gonna eat this, MRE equivalent. We may hold off on opening this for a later date. These aren't terribly exciting generally. They're going to be probably something like mustard greens and just a compressed food brick. This is almost certainly going to have a compressed food brick as well, but it's going to have a pouched main, I believe. So didn't Steve have to go to the ER from the 2018 PLA ration? I'm not certain. 2018 was a period where I wasn't keeping up too well. I know he had an issue with whether it was Ukrainian, I think it was Ukrainian, back in like 2015 or 16, where he had to get some medical attention as a result of some issues there, but as a result of some level of contamination of the food. PLA, he may have. If anybody else knows, by all means, throw in the chat. Like I said when I first put this out here a few minutes ago, was these knockoffs, or the knockoffs are always a possibility. And Chinese food, Chinese mainland, aka West Taiwan, food production standards are different and lacking and not 100% enforced. And things like Alibaba, the SRG is what got him. Got it. So things like Alibaba, AliExpress, you can go buy, runs of rations made for you specifically, and there's some knockoff label mimicking, that kind of stuff. But this, let's see, I'll move the tray for now. This seems to be a genuine ration, but we're going to go ahead and do some translating on this before we open it up. See what we can see. If anything looks really off, I won't bust it open. I've eaten 2 PLA rations over the years. Neither were anything really to write home about. I'm hoping this one, being 6 or 7 years more modern, is a little better, but no guarantees, of course. I've also had quite a few of them mangled in import. Well, I guess not quite a few, about half of them. Fordman's saying, it's bad when you can eat American pemmican from 1906 and be fine, and a 2018 Chi-Com and get sick. Yeah. I always have a little bit of fear whenever I'm eating, a lot of the Eastern European or Asian continent stuff. Just, it's a little riskier than a lot of things. So these I picked up from Teddy over on the MRE info forum. Thanks, Amelie, for the tip-off on these. They seemed within my price range. I may actually get a few more, depending on how these go and if we can validate them as authentic. So let's see, I'm just gonna swap over to Chinese. I'm gonna do a scan because that seems to work a little better. Actually, it's probably gonna make more sense to empty this and scan it flat. Let's try that. So we're gonna see if we can pop the top so we can keep the package mostly intact, but that's not looking likely. So I did not bring a knife up here. Let me see. Okay, I can do that. Gonna get that started. Oh, bad idea. Oh, I got blade wise. And nothing. Oh. Yeah. Right, so similar to the last ones that I looked at that were definitely PLA, we've got the inner foam sleeve. We've got a food brick, probably 125 grams is probably what that says. So this foam sleeve is like insulation, kind of like the cardboard sleeve with an American ration. We've got a little pouch. This will probably be the amount of water we use. We'll find out shortly. Oh yeah, that's going to be the amount of water that's used to activate the FRH, which is actually looking okay. There's some spillage out of it, but this is pretty substantial. It seems like 2 main pouches in here and 2 FRHs. There's one on either side. So that's exciting, actually. I'm interested to see how that cooks up. The bag that they're in is about the same feeling as a grocery store bag. Not generally what I would want scalding water in. We've got a shattered spoon and shattered, we've got a shattered spoon. I was going to say and knife because it looked like a butter knife with a spoon behind it, but no, that's just, the spoon is broken. Funny, I expected that, so I grabbed a different, an HDR accessory kit. So, that's no big deal. And that's the contents of it. So let's try and translate as much as we can on this package. You guys seeing this as it goes? 0 people in the car, 0 player soldier food, umbrella Sonley soldiers food, OGP soldiers food. I'm going to cover the O3 because the O3 isn't necessary information here. Whoop. Food in the middle school. Individual soldier. I think we're getting close. I think we're looking at. Let me try this scan method. All right. Now this usually works a little better because we're working off of a still image. Here we go. Ooh, this video is not going well. I'm gonna have to make sure I'm on the right network. Might need to restart that, but we see type Paratrooper individual food. So that worked a little better than I expected in terms of identifying it specifically as a Paratrooper meal. And we are on the right network. So it's probably just having this one right next to this one is causing it to be a little upset. All right, so if droids could think, none of us would be here. Is that from the new Obi-Wan show? I'm not sure how I feel about the whole droids' rights thing that they started with the Solo movie. They're layering whatever they can. And if it's too contemporary to what's going on exactly at the time that the movie comes out, then future generations won't have as much enjoyment out of the movie. I don't know. So this was made, oh shoot, this is a little older than I thought. So this was made 2020, June 7th. So this is a little over 2 years old already. That's a minor concern. That's from Attack of the Clones. Okay. I mean, even going back to the very beginning, they've got these bolts that they put on droids that basically, they're a personality override in the sense that you can't like the droid that has them bolted on is like locked into a mindset where they will not, cannot attempt escape. You know, the Jawas, the folks in the sand crawlers that go around and sell scrap metal and scrap droids and stuff to the folks on Tatooine. You know, they use those bolts. Jabba the Hutt uses the bolts to maintain control over the droid. So I guess, yeah, it's always been kind of part of it. Hey, Kaylynn, welcome. All right, let's see what this lower text says. This Paratrooper ration was honestly better than I thought we were going to get on that upper section. Okay, we got Jinhuangdao Seafood Co. Limited. Seafood. Seafood. Am I going to eat 2-year-old Chinese military seafood? We'll find out. All right, let's see. Go in sections on the back. Meal composition is what it says right here. All right, we've got breakfast, 90 compressed dry, wait. Yeah, okay, we've got 90 compressed dry food. Then we've got mustard, greens, and spiced peanuts. Wait. Pressed dry food, mustard, spiced peanuts. Okay, that's got to be 3 things, and that's breakfast. All right, I'm going to try and do this real time. So it says compressed dry food is the top line, 310 grams. Mustard, 30 grams. So that's the mustard greens, I'm assuming. Spiced peanuts. I think they were listed as boiled, but I don't necessarily see them in this bag. So, you know, the calories that were listed for this bag seemed ridiculous. This is not a 24-hour ration. I believe this is potentially the menus for 3 different rations. Yeah. So this is going to list out lunch, and this is going to list out dinner and the contents of each of those. What's in this bag, though, is lunch. Just looking at it right now, I can tell you what we're looking at is lunch. So this is not everything that was listed for this ration. So that's fine. So for lunch, I'm going to do a scan just to keep it from bouncing around. Get it as clear as I can. I'm going to translate this section here. All right, we've got self-heating fried rice, self-heating fish-flavored shredded pork. Okay. Self-heating 5-spice beef and compressed dry food. Yeah. Okay. So that's what we're looking at here. So we're gonna have potentially fried rice, some fish flavored pork. I'm interested to see what that might be. And what was that last part? Beef of some kind? Five-spice beef. Okay. And I'm making that assumption looking at this packaging based off of the presence of the 125-gram compressed food brick. For breakfast, the compressed food brick is 210 grams, and for dinner, the compressed food brick is 210 grams. So the 125 is the lunch brick. These Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what this type is like. Might be okay. Previous ones I've had a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of grit to them, so it's always a little interesting. This is a Type 3. So overall, I think this is official. I think this is an official PLA ration so far. I get the feeling that this is a actual Type 3 Paratrooper meal. We've got a pretty, honestly, well put together heating main, right? Or I mean heating, like meal heating section. Like I like this idea of 2 heaters and multiple packages. From looking at this, I would say that would mean that there's 3 things in here, not 2. We'll confirm. The packaging, the lunch thing may be an either or. It may be a fried rice and pork or fried rice and beef. So we'll see if there's 2 in here, then that's what it's going to end up being, and we'll be able to tell from the packaging or the gram weight or something. So this down here is saying greater than 3,927 calories. That's with everything. There isn't any chance on Earth that what we're looking at here is 4,000 calories. What we're looking at here is no more than 1,500 calories, even with these compressed food bricks. These things, I would say most you're looking at here is 400, absolute most. So there's absolutely no way that this is 3,700 calories. That's just, this packaging is basically saying the meal, the day together would be that much. So this is a lunch. Let's see what else we can translate on here. This is just going to be manufacturing info down in this corner. This is probably going to be repeats of the heating instructions, which we may be better suited getting from the actual bag, maybe not. So I'll translate this next block. Try and get to where there's little to no glare. This edge character there is going to be the hard one. Oh. Come on. I just want to know that section for right now. Let me just make sure. Oh, clear. And actually, I don't need to translate the gram side of it. Just this stuff. Daily calories, major nutrients, calories from protein, calories from fat, and carbohydrates. So we're looking at daily calories greater than 3,900. Protein, 123 to 129 grams. From fat, 137 to 143. And from carbs, 526 to 541. This is a pretty okay macro breakdown for nutrients. They're prioritizing carbs for quick energy, and then fat, and then protein. But the fat and protein are pretty close to each other, which when you're exerting a ton of energy, that's I think a pretty good choice. So overall, we're looking at a pretty interesting but pretty standard macro breakdown on that. Just going to confirm this text at the bottom. I'm assuming this is all going to be manufacturing detail. Production date. Heat according to instructions. Edible for 30 months after sealing. So according to this, we're good for another year. And then we are likely getting down into, okay, store in a cool, dark place, our telephone number. How great would it be to actually call these people up? This is, yeah, their address. Second Ring Road, North Industrial Zone, Haigang District, Xinhuangdao City. Okay, so 30 months. 30 months is actually, pretty decent. It does say edible date. It doesn't say inspection date. So we are 2/3 of the way through this thing's shelf life. Let me just get this next section snapped. Okay, so we're looking at instructions for use. Pour water through the waterway to the water injection line. And this is pour water into the then pour water into the heater bag. Tear the heater bag along the upper tear opening, lay it flat, pour the water into the water bag to the position of the water filling line, and then pour the water into the heater bag. How great is this technology? I don't speak Chinese, I don't read Chinese, but with just a few moments, all that information is accessible to me. All right, so this little text up here says, the heater pocket is folded back up. And honestly, this is coming through very clear in terms of meaning. And the take a picture while it's still method seems way better than letting it try to translate real time. Turn the self-heating food over and lay it flat. Fold the heater bag back upwards. Be careful not to let the water in the bag flow out during the turning process. This is very clear. Like, I'm used to some very broken gibberish when I'm trying to translate Chinese. So honestly, hats off, Google. This is getting better and better and better. Kaylynn saying maybe that's an average across all the menus in the ration type. So that's a combined. The back says what you get if it's a breakfast, what you get if it's a lunch, and what you get if it's a dinner. And then this says daily calorie intake. So this is 100% not a 24-hour ration. So anybody who's looking at it like that, I'm definitely gonna respond to Teddy because he has it listed as a 24-hour ration with 3,700 calories. That is not what this is. Or it would have 3 compressed food bricks, 2 at 210, 1 at 125. It would have 4 mains, rice, peanuts, mustard greens, etc. This might be the breakfast. Now that I think about it. So this might be the breakfast. This is the lunch. Or this might even be breakfast and dinner. We're going to open this up too. If this has all these pieces between it, then the whole conglomeration is a 24-hour ration. All right, let's look at the next section, this timing section, because that's going to be crucial to figure out. All right, the upper text says the heater pocket is folded back up. Lower text says flip the self-heating food over every 3 minutes. Be careful not to let the water in the bag flow out during the inversion process. See, that's great how well that's translated. After 15 minutes, take the food out and eat it. That is excellent translation. I am just thrilled with how clear that text is in terms of, it's not before you hit the heating process upside down the bag. It's very, very clearly, explained instructions. And I can only assume that they finally started applying AI to this like they said they were going to. Because basically, like now you can take, say, a page of text and scan it, and you'll be missing words here and there, but you give it to a generative language AI, and it looks at it and says, no, this doesn't make sense. What if I was trying to write this? What would I be missing here? And fills in the gaps. And they've been getting better and better and better. Foreman says we've got the pizza MRE now. Natick, now hopefully Natick starts working on chicken tenders. A breaded chicken nugget MRE would be that would be pretty clutch. That would be pretty awesome. All right, this last segment, let's see what we got here. Precautions. The heater and reaction residue are not edible. Do not let the water in the bag flow out during the whole operation process so as not to affect the heating effect. Even has effect and effect. Nice and clear. When using in a closed environment, please pay attention to maintaining ventilation. After the heater bag is torn open, please use it immediately to avoid reducing the heating effect. When the ambient temperature is below 0 Celsius, the heating time can be appropriately extended. How amazing that there's no confusion, there's no nonsense. That is a nice clear set of instructions. So we've got the lunch. Let's go ahead and take a look inside and see what's in this lunch bag. These are all the same instructions. This is the same text, just bigger, all the way down here versus what we just looked at. I'm gonna try and keep the bag in an okay condition, but overall, if I'm gonna get one for the museum, I think we'll have to get another set. All right, there's powder in there, and there are 3 bags. So we're looking at, we're looking at 3 bags here. We're gonna have, that's an interesting residue. I'm gonna have to be careful here, and I'll probably go rinse these bags in the next room before I open them up and eat them. Wouldn't the main be frozen solid at 0 Celsius? Yeah. So at 0, I think, your likelihood of getting it to edible with these heaters is basically non-existent. I would think you could maybe get it started, or use an insulated container, or keep the ration in your uniform until you're ready to heat it and then cook it. But if this was sitting out at freezing temperatures, there's nothing that's going to stop the water in this from freezing. So there's no special insulation. It's not made out of antifreeze. So yeah, this would be a rock, and a 15-minute exposure wouldn't even thaw it, let alone cook it to piping hot. And these heaters aren't going to go for 30 minutes. So I would think if you were going to be eating a thermostabilized ration like this, in oh, interesting. There was a 3rd heater that I've knocked out of position. Interesting. So there's a heater here, there's a heater here, and there was a 3rd that I'm going to go ahead and assume was between the 2 main meal items. So I'm going to pull that back in between those. There we go. So we have, wait, oh no, there wasn't a third. That was the outside one. I just knocked it out. Okay, so there's two. Let's take a look at these up close. There's a little interesting darkening on the corner here. Yeah, and the mains have some gram weights on them, and they match up to the 200, 100, 100. So yeah, this is definitely gonna have, or I mean, this should have the 5-spice beef, the fish flavored pork, and some fried rice. So that's interesting, and I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, this should be a pretty tasty ration, all said and done. I'm hopeful. You know, there's no bloating here. There's no signs of swelling or damage, so I'm happy with that. I'm gonna eat this. So, and we'll see if this is the other two meals. It doesn't seem like it should be. That's probably just the breakfast. Be right back. Not too worried about the residue from that being deadly or anything. The concept is pretty much universal. It's going to be, you know, an exothermic reaction from, you know, like iron oxide and aluminum oxide or something like that. I think all said and done, this set was about $40. So pretty approachable. You know, considering getting these and getting them shipped in, I think that's pretty good. He said he had about 50 of them, so I think he should be able to snag one. Definitely let me be the canary in the coal mine. I'll put something out if this kills me, or is about to. Just putting water in this pouch. So we're just pulling this up. I'll call that good. Not saline or anything. So I'm just gonna pour it straight in, and then we're gonna work it around. First we'll get this side, kind of roll the heater around in the liquid when it's resting at the bottom of the bag. And then we're gonna stand it upright again, fold this over the other way, and then repeat the process to get some liquid in, mixed into this one. Usually I would scratch with my fingernails along this to kind of like really push it into the cells, but with this flimsy bag, I don't want to get or take too many chances busting it open. We're going to pop it into its little heater holder, and we'll let that cook. It's actually already really bubbling, so I'm pretty hopeful that this is going to cook up well. And we're definitely going to open this up. We're going to see what's in here. I'm just going to go ahead and start right off the bat with a pair of scissors right at the top. And let's see what we got while this cooks in the background. I smell fish. I don't think I should smell fish yet. Okay, this one, the spoon did not break, so I may just use that for eating. Amelie says, I will never eat a PLA ration. And let's see. Spicy says, I do not trust those. You know, I can understand. So here we got the 210 gram version of the bar. We have a dinner. We have a dinner here. We don't have a breakfast. So we've got the 150 gram food packet. I'll have to look that up again, what that was. We've got the 50 gram food packet and the other 50 grams. So let's do a quick translation on these. It's gonna be easiest just to go back to this. I know we looked at it a minute ago, but I have a goldfish memory, so just gonna be better taking a new shot. Spiced hairball. No, that's not what that's gonna be. All right, so we've got compressed dry food, 4 fresh, fragrant, dried, 5 spice hairtail. Did I not translate this the last time? I must not have. I don't know what hairtail is unless it's like rabbit or something. I'm just gonna scan one more time. 4 fresh, fragrant, dried. Okay, and then this says spiced hairtail. And this down here says assorted fruits. So one of these packets is fruit. One of these says dried and fragrant. Both of them are liquid. Well, no, this is dried. Fragrant. Let me scan this packet itself. Or fresh, fragrant, dried. I don't know exactly what that means. So this is going to be fruit. There's like one chunk of something in here, just one, kind of floating around. And then, oh no, there's two. There's 2 chunks. And then a syrup. I would assume that that's kind of like a cocktail. Then we've got our main dish, which is the spiced hairtail, whatever spiced hairtail is, and our compressed food brick. So yeah, so this is a dinner. A breakfast would be even smaller because a breakfast is only going to have, like the dinner has, the dinner has 210, 50, so 260, 360, 410, 460. So there's 460 grams by weight of food here. And the breakfast has 210, 240, and another 60. So the breakfast has 300. So 460 versus 300. So the breakfast would be a little smaller than this. It's been 3 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and flip this like they suggest. We'll bring that back up front. Now, I don't know. Actually, it did say laid flat, didn't it? Well, no, there's going to be water coming out if that flap is upside down when it's flat. All right, so we'll save this for a follow-up. And honestly, I'm going to try and use the spoon that came out of the dinner because it's intact. So we'll put the broken one over with the dinner now. And while that is cooking, let me find something else that it can lean on. Everything I've got is like a piece of electronics. All right. going to use just this little rifle barrel stabilizer piece thing, just to keep that. Boardman's saying, from what I can gather, it seems like Uncle Sam doesn't think enjoyable meals are as important to the troops. I would disagree. From having seen the evolution of the MRE for the last 30-something years, my own personal experience eating them, they have gotten much more enjoyable. I mean, how do you explain something like the maple sausage patty meal with the maple muffin top, the frosted brown sugar Pop-Tart? It's just candy. All right, so we're going to take a look at this compressed food brick while the meal cooks. Each one is individually packaged. There's a little greasiness to them. The back of the package simply says either 0 or O, F05, probably 0. It's probably hex, some kind of code. 0F05. This just says compressed dry food. And let's bust one of these open and give it a shot. Even though this is just a quick meal episode, we're somehow already an hour in. I guess I rambled a lot longer than I thought I was going to. And it takes a little time to translate and all that stuff. Alright, so we've got some compressed food bricks. Sometimes you want to crush these kinds of things up and make them into a gruel. I'll get a feel for that, like the compressed cornflake bars that we have. Spicy says, I'm Asian and even I don't trust these completely. It's hard to trust the chai comms, And hey, as much as I try and stay, that's good. As much as I try and stay non-political, on this channel, I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't have any real love for the Chinese government or military or I mean their military's just people, I guess, but the government itself, not somebody to protect. I have no reason to pull a Hollywood and kowtow to there. I get nothing from China, and even if I did, have the opportunity to, no thanks. But I mean, from connection to it, like Hollywood, they have a market in China that's worth billions and billions and billions of dollars when a movie comes out, so they walk a fine line, don't want to insult, etc. All right, we're gonna flip this again. I'm supposed to flip it 5 times during cooking. I'm already behind, but this is very hot, And actually, I'll move this up to the tray. This is cooking quite well. Overall, I'm impressed with the packaging, the variety of contents versus a PLA ration that I had years ago, and wait, I missed something. I'll catch up on that in a second. The overall packaging and presentation and quality of the internal bags and the variety of the food has definitely improved since I tried Chinese rations years ago. This Paratrooper specific type is interesting. This is basically shortbread. This tastes like shortbread, good shortbread. I enjoy it. The FRH is very hot, and it is steaming. You can't really see it on the stream that well. Every time I flip it around, a good burst of steam comes out. This insulated outer bag helps keep the heat directed at the ration, but even that, I couldn't just leave my hand on long term. So, Rock or something saying, Sean, any chance of being worthy enough to be alongside the list? Yeah, anybody that is in this community that wants to be in that list, just email the address you see down here. Just shoot me an email, and I will absolutely get you added to the overall list for all streams from here on out. No problem. Would love to have you mixed in among the crowd of great folks here. And part of the next phase of this, I'm going to be reaching out to you guys. I have an idea that will potentially just kind of slowly trickle in more interest, and that's in the streaming community, we call it React Andy. I don't know if folks know the term, but React Andy is when you basically are watching someone else's content, watching videos on YouTube, watching TikToks, watching whatever, and streaming that and reacting to it. Kids react to such and such is like one of the forms of this whole thing. But for the channel, I'm thinking, of reaching out to you guys to get permission to add your videos to an ongoing rotation of watching, reacting, talking about, your content on a museum stream. And in the long term, what I'd like to see potentially, if I have the time to put a project like this together, would be a 24-hour channel on Twitch that is made up mainly of, government films, old school films, modern factory, walkthroughs and stuff like that, and videos of ration reviews from the community, just playing around the clock, so that folks can drift in, get exposed to your content, certainly have the ability to find your content and know that it's, pre-recorded from specific people and where to find them and that sort of stuff. And, to have scheduled blocks like, 5 o'clock weeknights is the, newsreel power hour, that kind of stuff, because I've been finding a lot of people doing that stuff already, certainly not asking permission, but, you'd be surprised how often I stumble on people streaming, watching ration videos and talking about it with their their chat, their followers. Some of these people have thousands of followers watching this stuff. So, and fundraising on Twitch really works. So I'm tempted, not tempted. I like the idea. I'm going to be asking folks, and I'm going to be potentially going down that route. Hey, Joe. Good to have you. I've been on Discord less, but I am still there. Shoot me a message anytime. I'll do my best to get back to you quickly. I know I take a good long while. I don't use the online indicator anymore so that I don't get pulled into work stuff when I'm not trying to. So just because it says offline, I may still be there. Shoot me a message. Hope you've been doing good. Yeah, I've been meaning to just ping you. I haven't seen anything fun. I don't really search a lot in the medical kits and stuff, vein. So I haven't seen anything crazy, and survival kit stuff, that I know you're always looking for. But good to see you in here. Kaylynn saying, would lend ration content to the project. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Spicy saying Casper site does the same thing, reacting and watching others' ghost videos. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a whole thing, and a lot of people, that's the kind of content they want to watch. So, that could really be just an opportunity to, expand the audience in general. Because live streams like this, it's hard for folks to, it's hard in general to, expect that folks are going to have a specific slot of time to watch along live, as opposed to, tuning in and out whenever, or like YouTube stuff, having something they can just play at any time that isn't interactive. But I like this interactivity. I like talking to you guys. I like getting questions. He has 449,000 subs just doing reaction videos. Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying, the Ration Museum's ever going to have, 10,000 subs or anything, but, any way to get new people interested, especially around a fundraising season, is something that I need to work on. When fundraising starts, I'm absolutely not expecting our crew here to carry the museum. I want to make sure that I'm pinging, relevant companies, even ration producing companies, since we're keeping their history alive, looking at government grants, et cetera, et cetera. Ration Museum going to have 1.3 million subs. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice someday? I feel like when I start putting actual static content, on YouTube, some nice big channel intro that explains the project and little videos. I got an idea this weekend for doing shorts on YouTube, where I use, like an announcer man voice kind of thing, and just read through the instructions on different rations and explain, step by step, like grab the bag where the triangular, flat, I don't know, whatever. You get what I'm saying. Like pull the bag apart, remove the inner pouch, and tear at the vertical notches. How come I moved to Mondays? It just wasn't working out in terms of the timing on weekends. I had no overlap with anybody else, since my Saturdays are pretty much locked in. So I was needing Sundays in order to, like, say, see family, or even just have one like, day off in my former structure. So Monday made a lot more sense, especially now that I only have a lessened commitment to my day job. So Mondays are a museum work day, YouTube Shorts sucks. Yeah, I get you, but it's definitely an audience. People watch those things. Well, it's been another 15 minutes for sure, so I'm going to call this cooked. This is very hot coming out here. The bag itself is stretchy and pliable now, so what I'm going to do, I am going to step away for a second, pull these out and rinse them, come back and plate them up. And hopefully not get poisoned. So I'll see you guys in just a second. Oh, and certainly I'm not saying I want to make the entire channel be just reacting to stuff, but also, I would hope that, using content like that would, help, at least a trickle of new folks to, the people whose shows I'm watching, like folks that are on Twitch that have never stumbled through these YouTube channels before, saying, oh, well, that's neat. Oh, I like this, I like this guy, or I like this girl, whoever it is that I'm watching. I'm gonna go find their content. So, wow, that powdery stuff was caked all over this. And even I'm gonna have to go back again because my hands are still coming away coated in it. But I scrubbed the packages, and right now I'm just drying them off. You know, I assume there's nothing super toxic in it. It does specifically say not to get it in your food. So, you know. All right, so here we go. These are all hot. These are going to be nice. So let's start with one of these smaller pouches. And it's interesting. The writing's always this way, and the notch is always on the bottom. On at least this one ration that we're looking at today. I noticed that on the food brick, and again on these. Right, so. You know, and the fish flavored pork, it's probably like pork with fish sauce, you know, something like that, which may not sound, oh yeah, upside down. May not sound great, but it's something we've probably all eaten if we've gone to, you know, Chinese restaurants before. Well, there's a lot of grease in there. I'll have to give it a quick tongue test to see if the grease has gone rancid. And we're going to probably mix some of these. Got 100-gram pouch. Now, the main thing for fundraising is just going to be contacting people. And that's something that I don't do a lot of because I've got this fear that, you know, I'm going to reach out and waste somebody's time, you know, by not being prepared enough to talk as much as they are about whatever it happens to be. So I don't initiate while I'm still trying to do too many other projects. And really, honestly, I'm going to have to just go ahead and put some other things down forever or to the side for now or whatever it takes and really prioritize this. Okay, so we've got the fried rice. Fried rice has meat in it. I'm not certain. It looks like it might be pork. Then we've got this, I think, is the pork here, the fish flavored pork, and then this is going to be the beef. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the beef. That's really good. That's really good. No hint of rancidity on that. I'm just going to give it a minute. Honestly, I should probably move this over since I'm sitting over here right now. All right, let me just. Nothing wrong there. Take a nice bigger bite with some meat and vegetables. Come on, hand. A little steadier. That's pork. I like that. I like that. I'm ordering more of these. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a good ration. With their age, I'd say reach out sooner rather than later, because I wouldn't expect these to last forever. But you know, it doesn't look like there's any variety. It looks like this particular 24-hour ensemble is one fixed meal all the way through. But you know, so like if you got 4 days worth of this, this is what you're eating. But wow, this is a lot better than I expected. You know, honestly, this is my stomach just already went. It'll be fine. Yeah, Fordman. There are a few incidents of that. Russians and Inuits and you know, Arctic explorers that have found and eaten mammoth shortly after exposure, seemingly as a novelty, or none of them have said it's good, but technically, now, if I had access to mammoth meat that was, you know, just uncovered and kept frozen, I would try it. I would 100% try that. You know, push that oldest eaten meat date back 10,000 plus years. Come on, how could you not? So, yeah, exactly, Spicy. That's, you know, you can't beat that. Even if you ate honey from an Egyptian tomb or something, you can't beat that. I want to eat this while it's hot. Then we have some more of this beef. The beef is a little dry is not the right word, but it's not super wet. No, it's you know, it's a little tougher. It's like, you know, it tastes like restaurant food that's been under a heat lamp a little while. Got a good chunk of fat there. That yellowish piece, that's just pure fat. I haven't hit any bristle yet. Kinda. You know, it's I would say maybe even eye around, you know, eye around, sorry, a round cut. Back to this pork rice. That's got a really good taste to it. I'm not getting any fishiness from it. The fish smell must have come from the heater itself. Thank God, because that would have meant some kind of break in something otherwise. But this has a it has a soy sauce kind of kick. There's no heat to any of this at all in terms of like you know, pepper related spice. The fried rice is great. The actual rice itself, you know, is among the best heated up thermostabilized rice that I've had. I put it on par with the Japanese. And honestly, as a fried rice dish overall, I put this better than any specific Japanese one that I've had, because they tend to be a little more on the bland side, because they're expecting that you're gonna have flavor and spice packets that you're gonna put on top. Fordman saying, I'm gonna have to get off here, guys. Thank you for the stream. See you later. You are very welcome. I'm glad you were here. Thank you for your questions and for engaging. I always appreciate it, Fordman. You have a great rest of your night. MFO is saying, I wonder when sushi will start to be found in MRE packaging. Raw fish kind of goes against the concept of thermostabilizing. You missed the Japanese canned rations. I've never had the opportunity to have one of the JDF or JSDF canned rations. I've had a couple of the bag rations over the years, but I don't think I have any of the canned ones in the collection. I'm going to be keeping an eye out again now that I've got my Japanese auction accounts running again. Excuse me. Here, my stomach just did a double. So, this is new to it. There's probably all kinds of things in here that are different. Let's take another quick look at the fish flavored pork mix. There's a lot of shredded meat in here. There's fat. And there's sauce. And that seems to be about it. This is the only thing right here that I've seen in here that's not, doesn't look 100% like the rest of everything, and this could just be skin. I'm just gonna take a bite. No, that's mushroom. Okay. You can get some JSDF cans. I don't know how good they'd be, but I'd try them. There was just a little crunch of something in there, unexpected. Almost felt like a bit of sand or something. Could have just been like a piece of pepper flake. See the kind of golden color to it from the sauce that it's in. Take another look at some of this fried rice. We've got peas, we've got pork, we've got carrots. We've got, let's see what this little hunk is here. Got possibly another chunk of mushroom. Not sure. That had a much tougher consistency to it. Could still be mushroom. Unlike American rations, these do not have any ingredients listed at all. So there's no individual package, like individual item nutrition information. There's no food pyramid breakdown kind of thing, and there's no ingredients. So we don't know, we don't have the luxury of, say, looking through looking through package by package and saying, okay, this has these vegetables, these spices, this, this extra, etc. All we know is the name of the item. The rice has a really good consistency to it. Honestly, if I was in a Chinese restaurant and I ordered this and it came out, this exact meal heated up, I would not know it just came out of a package and was a couple years old. And it's great to try something like this. It's not Americanized Chinese food. People always say that what we eat is so very different from what's available in mainland China, but I think that's just kind of exaggerating, because this is extremely similar to just average Chinese food. I would say it probably is on par with some Panda Express, maybe a little better. You got a chunk of fat there at the tip of the spoon and a nice big block of beef. First, I was thinking I was going to dump them all together, but no, they're very separate, individual pieces of food here. The spoon itself, the other one shattered, so I wouldn't say that they're durable, but the blunt end, I like that. The spoon is pretty shallow and the end is blunt. It makes scooping up the food great. It's a nice design. If it was a little more durable, it could be one of my favorites. Look at that big old chunk of fat. You can almost see through it, a little translucent jelly-like. We're afraid of fat here in the States in terms of our meat. I know so many people who finish, a good steak and have all the meat off, or all the fat cut off and put to the side. It's great. I'll to each their own, but I'll always eat the fat. And cartilage. Emily's saying she bought 40 more ORP sporks the other day. You can do what you want, but I don't like that utensil. It's sharp, it's deep. I just don't like it. Kaylynn says if she wants Chinese food, she'll go to a mom and pop, and that's usually your best bet. In Montana, when I lived in Bozeman, the best Chinese food in town was kind of a toss-up between this place called Bamboo Garden and Panda Express. Chinese food there wasn't that great. Hong Kong, or new number one Hong Kong, or whatever it was, out in Belgrade, wasn't that good. Indian food started getting good when I left, but for like 8 years of me being out there literally was none. Most stuff. I mean, it's a town in Montana, it's not Philly in terms of food variety. All right, let's have another chunk of this shortbread compressed bar. Spicy saying it almost looks like the Australian spoon. Yeah, you're right. The Australian spoon is thicker, better quality, and very similar. So that would be the probably the kind I would say would be most similar. It's a good call. There were two good Korean places in Bozeman: Whistle Pig and Ipo's. Whistle Pig. Oh wait, Whistle Pig's gone. But for a while there, they were pretty good. Which it's not super comforting because a Whistle Pig is a nickname for a groundhog. But you know, you don't want to think about like, are they serving me groundhog while you're there? Kaylynn saying, oh wait, no, I already read that. Sorry, Amelie saying, got another Sikh ration, 2 for the collection. Nice, nice. I didn't order anything from Surplus and Outdoors yet. With me leaving in a week, I figured it might not be the best timing at this point. I'm waiting on half a dozen Norwegian rations from Prado over on MRE Info. Alexi, I've had nothing but good luck with him. You know, we've traded local, little local extras in packages back and forth over the years. Yeah, solid guy. You know, obviously he can't do anything about customs. He puts the same info as everybody else. Just once in a while, something gets snagged. So you know, like anybody that's not a big company, if you're buying something internationally, you always run the risk of customs messing with your food. But Norwegians are pretty safe. I think they'll come through just fine. It's the stuff that's got like heavy cans of meat that sometimes trips somebody's sensibilities, I guess. Here we go, more shortbread. But he's left Russia. He's in Poland now. And I wish him the best luck. He's trying to earn up enough money to go get his family out of Russia, because you know he's opposed to the regime, and he was military. He was in Smolensk, so he's opposed to the direction that his country took and got out. Now, generally, you know, that may not seem like the approach you'd want to commend, but with Russia today, yeah, I commend somebody who stands up and says, I'm not doing this. I'm not, I'm not going to be part of this, aggressive invasion of the Ukraine or, supporting that regime. Mark Swisher Eats and Stuff, good afternoon. Good to have you. Let's see. Greetings and salutations. Might do a review of a Seafair Pacific salmon chowder. What's that? I'm going to have to Google that real quick. Seafair Pacific salmon chowder. Oh, okay, like a pouched salmon chowder. You can buy them you can buy them online. Okay. So kind of like pouched tuna or pouched Indian food, but chowder. That looks good. It's got great reviews on Amazon. That looks good. Large chunks of salmon. Ooh, yeah. You're gonna post that tomorrow, or you're gonna do the review and post it soon? I'm just double checking, making sure I've got you in here. Yep, I've got you in here in the description. Everybody, spam the info down below this video and go check out Mark's channel. Make sure you're subscribed over there, and keep an eye out for that next video. Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for that. Excuse me. So I had a little coffee earlier. I kind of let it go cold. I had intended to try this in there, but I can tell you just from the density of it, like, there's absolutely no give. It's not going to absorb any liquid. Three more subs to hit 100. I've got two more YouTube accounts. I'm on it. I can get two more right now. All right, Ruler Yak is now subscribed. Let's see if we can get Sergeant Awesome subscribed. Subscribed. Heck, why not have ad grants subscribe? All right, there we go. And done. Woo! And there you go, man. You just cracked 100. Always great to have you in here. Excuse me. Hope you guys are enjoying the the soundtrack. Seems like it's at a good volume these days when I go back and play. Overall sound, I think, is in an all right spot. I'm really glad to have found the the voice fixing stuff that's built into this broadcast software I use. I mean, certainly it doesn't sound great. It doesn't sound like I'm talking into a $100, $200, $300 microphone or anything. But I mean, I'm talking into the webcam camera several feet away. So I think it's cleaned that up quite a bit in terms of audio quality. Onwards to 500. Heck yeah. Hey, Mark, I've been broadcasting on on Twitch for 2.5 years, and I'm at 47 people. Hey, if you guys could go over to twitch.tv/ruleryak and subscribe there, or not subscribe, but follow, is what they call it. That would help a lot, because once you pass 50, then you can start. Well, you're almost eligible. You still need folks to show up to streams, but then you can start monetizing that channel. But for YouTube, you've got to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, I think, within a year, for monetization. Excuse me. It'd be lovely if the museum could monetize the channel and even make, $20-$30 a month or something eventually. Would be nice. Just also, I'm obviously going to need to have informative 10-minute videos on there, 20-minute videos on there that people can go watch, as opposed to this format. Like, the live streams aren't how people monetize YouTube. But, you want something that people can come back to and then start up a playlist of 20 or 30 things. But yeah, onwards and upwards. Hey, the first 100 is by far the hardest, and then it sort of is supposed to snowball. I think the museum's at what, about 450 now, something like that. Maybe not quite. MFO is saying we have 800-mile land border with Russia, so we're quite close. The guys from the Kremlin, no problem making MRE reviews. Yeah, I will still eat Russian rations when I can get them. I like them. They're food. I'm not supporting the military of Russia, but I will eat Russian rations. And I'm assuming that they're going to get harder and harder to find. I do enjoy, I mean, similar to what I was just talking about here, they do not shy away from fat. They even have in a lot of their IRPs um, an actual meal or main dish in a meal that's just a tray of rendered fat. Just little strips of fat cooked, trayed, and ready to just eat with crackers. And it's just awesome. I just love it. Yeah, Russia's not looking great. Honestly, at the beginning of the whole conflict, I thought there was some kind of background thing going on. Like, you look at the size of their military and the committed forces in the Ukraine, and they've only committed less than like 6 or 7%, or maybe it was up to like 8 or 9% of their active military forces. So it seemed to me at that time like, well, this is a distraction. They're putting bad equipment, out-of-date rations, untrained folks, lack of actual supplies, old tanks, old APCs, old missiles, old everything into this fight. Where's the real army? Where's the real troop force amassing? Is it on the eastern border? Is it slowly in the background working with China for some other purpose? Is there another invasion being planned from the north? Like, what's going on? But as this conflict's evolved, it really does seem like Russia's falling apart, and this was all they had to throw at conflict. So it's the case, and their supply lines are this bad, and their production at home is this bad, and their equipment stock is this bad. This is a desperate act, and it's not looking good for Russia. I mean, they've lost 20 years worth of, 30 years almost worth of build back attempts at goodwill, but at this point, they're not on the playing nice stage. They're not going to get any international aid anytime soon. Napoleon invaded Russia. Yeah, you don't fight a land war in Asia. Like, you just don't, as an invader. No, I wouldn't do it in a million. I mean, invading Russia hasn't gone well for anybody. I mean, Hitler's Eastern Front was not a good choice. Thank God he made that choice, because it made it easier to defeat his crazy ass. But I always look back at that as like, thank you, you stupid lunatic. Thank you for spreading your forces too thin and making it so that the Allies could actually defeat you. Because otherwise, concentrated forces, it would have been a much longer war in Europe. Now, if I was saying the collapse of Russia brings internal tension, yeah, exactly. There's going to be, if Russia actually falls, we're going to see a warring states reemergence, potentially. We're going to see some pretty awful people trying to take power of certain regions. There are all sorts of caches of weapons and things that we don't want people to get their hands on in a warlord state. The refugee situation, because the bulk of the Russian population is in far western Russia, and they're going to flood into Europe, out of necessity, if the actual economy and country fully collapses. So none of this is good. None of this is good. I do not envy the position of folks like MFOs that are right up. I mean, like when I said, like, are they potentially amassing a northern invasion? Finland is what I'm thinking. I do not envy being in that part of the world right now in terms of the background political tension and concern over something like this. In the end, you got to live your life. You got to go do your day to day and not let it take over your mindset. But what's a good analogy? A starving dog is not something to mess with. Or a starving bear, I guess, would be a better analogy. A starving bear is a very dangerous thing. Last piece of shortbread, gonna enjoy it. I haven't heard of that book, Mark. He's saying The Prisoners of Geography explains a lot. I would assume that it has to do with Russia as a whole has the advantage and disadvantage of the mountain, the mountain borders. And the only real land entry point for an invading or exiting army in mass that makes sense is the Ukraine. That giant triangular plain is, has historically been the front porch, the tripwire zone, whatever you want to call it, that anyone would need to use to put a large-scale invasion force into Russia. The mountain borders are a benefit in that sense, but it's also a detriment for anybody who's on the other side of it in terms of ease of mobility or exterior invasion strategy. Granted, we're in the 21st century. We really, as a whole, as a world, need to be putting the idea of country to country land grab, invasion, etc. away. It's not, the global stage makes it so that it's not just two little neighbors having a tiff anymore. It's it's something that the whole world stage is going to weigh in on and get involved with. Yeah, exactly. So they don't have they don't have access to a lot of the world without some of these regions or the cooperation of some of these regions. So cutting themselves off from trade with more accessible neighbors is really going to exacerbate their own collapse. Yeah, they certainly have. They certainly have. There's some there's some folk heroes, if I recall. I mean, real soldiers with real history in Finland, having held ground against dozens or even hundreds of Russians, during World War II, and minor, other conflicts in between, and then in general, we kind of the world kind of turned a blind eye to Crimean invasion in 2014. And I wouldn't say that was a litmus test for something like this, but it was a move in terms of securing access to resources, securing access to transportation, to shipment, shipping. So a country like Russia is gonna make the moves it needs to make to go for what it needs to survive. And again, starving bear is a dangerous thing. When it gets desperate, it's going to make crazier and crazier moves. So this whole invasion, when I look back over the last year, knowing what we know now about it versus what I was speculating about in February, it seems like a move out of desperation more than a move out of cold calculating, expansion. It seems like a desperate move to maybe stave off collapse that failed, and is leading to the worsening of that collapse. Oh, well, I will say I really liked this. I'm going to give it a little bit of time, and I will report back as to whether or not this, this hit me too hard. And honestly, I know I just said at the beginning of this that there won't be a stream next week, but I'm considering just doing a quick stream, like an hour, hour and a half, if that, on this one next week, just to keep that, or just to finish that out and let you guys know how it went. The concern there is if I eat that and that has anything that's a little off the day before I fly to Burning Man, that could really screw some things up. So we'll see how this one goes on my stomach. Hey Tim, how's it going? We got Tim Riley in here. So, stay tuned. If I put up a schedule on here, and I'll post on Twitter and stuff, then maybe we'll do this next week. Otherwise, plan on. Okay, I'll do this. I'm planning on being here next week for just another 5 to 7 Eastern. A nice chat with you guys and eat this Chinese breakfast ration, dinner ration. If anything goes wrong in between, or if I don't have time, then I'll cancel and schedule. When you check here on YouTube, you'll see that it'll be scheduled for September 12th instead of that day. So for now, I'm going to put it up. I'm going to schedule it for next Monday. I'm going to do a 2-hour block and enjoy one more of these and just talk. Because it's easier than having to go to the museum and prep stuff and all that. This really wasn't too bad. And I mean, honestly, no, it was good. It was fun. It was a good meal. It was a great conversation with you guys. Let me catch the last little bits before I sign off. Tim saying the new tank is a failure and just a further evolution of the T-72. Yeah, it really does not stop incoming artillery fire or rocket fire or, even 50 cal fire. It's not a good tank for the modern battlefield, right? They're not having luck with that thing. Again, thank God. Like when I'm concerned for their effectiveness, it's a good thing right now that they're ineffective. Same with saying thank God Hitler invaded Russia, because it's one of the only reasons that things went the way they did. Let's see. So MFO saying it has a trained reserve of 900,000, including himself, even though the population is only 5.5 million. Oh my God, that's is it a conscripted thing like it is in countries like Switzerland, where everybody serves after high school and gets trained and gets exposure to the equipment and weaponry, etc., and then is ready to be called up to service and occasionally has to do some additional training? Is it like that, or is it a purely volunteer force? Because I mean, I'm always a little iffy about the conscription. Israel's a conscription nation where you're required, and there's a lot of places that are. And I know they instill civic duty, but they're also, nations that do that have to brainwash that into their children, in school from the get-go, or else there would be, much more pushback against it. The United States could never turn on an conscription at this point. They would need 20 to 30 years buildup of trickling that idea into people's minds through the education system before they could really start something like that. So here, if next year there was conscripted service for everyone 18 and over, there'd be a revolution. It just wouldn't happen. But if that's just the way things are, people are apt to do it. And honestly, it doesn't. I mean, in a nation that's not going out, getting involved in every conflict on Earth, it may not be as difficult a mindset to get into. Like the United States is involved in so many wars, so many wars, all the time, all over the planet. So it's not like it's an intellectual exercise or a preparedness exercise. You're gonna get deployed somewhere, almost certainly these days. Well, I guess that's reducing again, but yeah, I mean, when you're in the American military, you're going to be involved in international conflict. Maybe not as much, for a country like, say, Switzerland. And as far as Finland goes, I'm not educated, I'm not informed, so I don't, I can't. All I could guess is that Finland may not go out into every conflict everywhere. Yeah, 253 wars sounds about right. Currently, I think we have boots on the ground in like 25 countries, and it's little things like micro wars in Chad, or just like little military incursions in South American nations and stuff on behalf of other people, or this, that, or the other. There's just always something. There's just always something going on. But see, Kaylynn saying there would be exceptions for folks. Yeah, absolutely. Medical exceptions for folks, are always there with conscription. Military service for everybody 18 to 30, and then you're still reserve until 60. Well, I mean, probably have a healthier, more focused population as a whole with something like that going on. And a lot better respect for firearms. I know we're a firearms heavy culture, but there's a mix of respect and total disregard for respect among firearms owners in America. There's a lot of folks that know the seriousness of operating a firearm, and would never in a million years point a gun at somebody, or leave a loaded gun lying around, or any of these kind of things. But then there's a sizable chunk of folks that they have no respect for it, and they're armed for fear or aggressive reasons, in the war on drugs, the other side of the war on drugs, that kind of thing. So I mean, conscription definitely leads to a better informed, better prepared, and more respectful of the danger presented in using firearms, or the seriousness of picking up a gun, than a lot of countries. But again, I'm not a fan of conscription as a concept, and it would definitely not. Drugs did win the war on drugs, but yeah, conscription wouldn't work here. I mean, look at the last attempt. Tons of people fled to Canada, or did whatever they had to do to not go to war. And those that did, drug use and suicide and everything else went through the roof with the Vietnam War. Anyway, getting way off topic. Well, no, I guess this is the topic. What am I saying? But I think it's time I'm wrapping up. One last comment here. Finland's always had its own tensions with Russia, but never had any against the Russian people. And that's kind of that's the underpinning of all of this. Soldiers don't hate soldiers. It's governments starting wars with governments, and soldiers are merely a piece of that. And it's, there are those rare moments where in a ceasefire, opposing sides actually share a meal or share conversations, and then go right back to killing each other, as soon as the ceasefire is over. Oh, Sparrow, hey, good to see you. Call reading about a new gun being made and sold even to civilians that is so powerful it makes body armor about as effective as a t-shirt. Well, I mean, I have rifles that'll shoot right through body armor. Even up to class 3 or ballistic. Body armor is only as effective as well. I mean, there's levels to it, and 50 cal will shoot through any human body armor. Period. There's nothing that's going to stop that. But even rifles like 300 Blackout, or you know, even like a 338 will go through a lot of armor. But I mean, like regular stab armor, like general police armor, that's only good up to like a 45. You know, that's not going to stop almost any rifle bullets. So like regular police armor isn't going to stop, you know, unless it's plate, unless it's hard plate, it's not going to stop even 223 or 762 or 308 or any of that kind of stuff. 50 will just destroy anybody. Excuse me. And a slug, right? I mean, a shotgun, a 12 gauge slug, it's going through just about anything. You know, there's very little out there that's going to stop a you know, close quarters 12 gauge slug. It's just a massive amount of impact force. All right, so on that pleasant note, we will wrap up the stream here, and I'm glad you guys came out. Thank you for joining me for kind of a more informal meal and conversation. I'm excited for what comes next with the museum, and you know, I want to thank Amelié again for all the help you've been given on putting the collection website together with me. The effort wouldn't be anywhere near as far as it is without you. And thanks to Curious Pete out there in the wild for all his help last year. Last year, you know, helping with the cataloging process. Really appreciate you guys. And I will be back again next week just for another 2-hour one, just to eat this Chinese Paratrooper dinner ration. And then I will be gone for a couple weeks out in the Nevada desert trying not to die. And then we'll be back at it. So hope you guys had a great time. I really appreciate you all being here. And I will be back again. But until then, just remember, stay rational.